trip. I know it's always, you said it before, it's always tough to win at Tarleton.
Yeah.
Able to split that series with them. Kind of just talk about how your team played throughout the week last week.
Yeah, Thursday, credit to Tarleton, man. They did a great job pushing that game. It was packed. One, I'm super thankful for all of our fans that went over there. We had a huge contingency go over there to support us. I wish we would have played a little better for them, but a lot of that credit goes to Tarleton, man. And they did some things in that game that they have not done with us before, so they were well prepared, and I don't think we adjusted real well, but that's okay. It happens, right? And you live and you learn from it. And if we see them, which very good chance we see them next week, that we'll be prepared for some of that stuff, And so I thought it was actually a good game. It was a 2-possession game in the second half, and then they spread it out there in the last 8 minutes. And so we competed, but more importantly, I think how we bounced back and played on Saturday. That's the key to a good team or not, right? Like, do you let yourself get down because of what happened Thursday, or do you recalibrate, man, immediately and turn around and go compete at a high level that, 48 hours later, less than 48 hours later, and we did that. And so to get on a bus and head that way, and, that night it was a different trip, but a much better trip than getting on a plane, but we got there. We immediately, when we got to the hotel Thursday night, turned the page to UTA. We started watching film on UTA, locked into them, had a good practice, I thought, on Friday. And then showed it. I think we won that game at UTA in the first 8 minutes of the game. And we were ready to play. We came out ready to play. And then when they made their run, we were able to withstand it because of the way we started the game.
And talking about that, not only a bounce back in the week, but a bounce back in the game. Come back after a tough loss Thursday, and then in the game, you have a lead, you lose it, but you don't panic. You kind of keep it going, and then you're able to win a close game. In a really important matchup, especially because of that whole middle pack. So talk about how good it feels that your team was able to kind of stay grounded and do all that, where earlier in the season, they might not have done it.
Yeah, so we talked about that, I don't know, it was last week, I think it was last week we talked about that. Like, I don't know if a month ago we hold on to that lead, that we finished the game out the right way. I think we've gained some confidence here this month. To where we're playing to win now, not just playing not to lose. When you play not to lose, you end up usually losing, right? And so we talked about it at halftime, that this is a very good team. They were down 15 the week earlier and came all the way back and won a game. And so we knew they were going to make a push at us. We just had to kind of withstand it and continue to play our style of basketball, and I thought we did that. And the big thing was we had guys step up and make free throws in the second half, and that was huge. Because that's where we lost some games earlier, was at the free throw line. And so we're shooting the ball, knock on wood, late in the game, well from the free throw line, and that's how you win games. But we also got some key defensive stops. Credit to my staff, for suggesting to go zone. They essentially went to one thing in the second half. They have a very good player with some size. Here they beat us with their guards, and we adjusted and did some things to take that away. And so credit to Coach Turner and his staff. They came out of halftime, and they just started isoing their big kid on the perimeter, and allowing him to drive. And we got in foul trouble. And so we had to go small. And, I was trying to hold on and zone. I was worried about zone because of their ability to shoot. But I can't. I wish I could remember which staff member, but it was really a contingency between the whole staff, and they just got me to go zone. They convinced me. That's hard to do. They convinced me to go zone there for about 4 or 5 possessions late in the second half, and I really think that in that moment helped us finish the game out.
And then with the whole standings the way they are, every game means just so much. So the fact you're able to split a series against teams that you're competing with at 4, 5, 6 spot in there, how good does that feel that you were able to come over with some big wins?
Yeah, we knew we had to split the weekend. Within the staff, we don't really talk about that kind of stuff with the team, but this was the first time. I think I said that last week. We did kind of start talking about the standings a little bit. I don't know now if it matters. It's just going to be what color jersey do you wear. We're all going to play the same people in that 3 through 6 range. But splitting the weekend put us in a position where we now know what day we play, and we don't know who we're going to play. But we know what day we're going to play. So we can actually kind of prepare. We're not going into that last weekend like, I don't know, we're going to play on Wednesday, we're going to play on Thursday. Travel's a mess. But now we're able to solidify our travel, for the conference tournament. We know what we're going to do. We know we're going to play on Thursday. We just don't know which game. But that doesn't really matter to me because it's going to be the same teams, like I said, one or the other. And so it's just going to be what color jersey do we wear. But now it's about like let's finish as high as we can. You know, that personal pride kind of gets in there, and you know, because it doesn't matter really, you're going to play whoever. We want to finish as high as we can. And we have an opportunity to finish as high as third, and we can finish as low as sixth. And so we want to try to finish as high as we can.
And talking about that, you got some really tough games coming up, Utah Valley and Grand Canyon. Just talk about how hard those games are going to be. I mean, those are really good teams.
Yeah, you know, obviously those two teams did a really good job all conference season long. They put themselves in a position where they're playing for a conference title this week, and we have to play them both, right? And so we know we're going to get their best shot. But I really think this league is so well spread out. I don't know if there's much of a difference between the opponents we've been playing and the teams we're going to play this weekend. We're good enough to beat anybody in this league. We know we are. We know we're going to have to play really well to win one or both of these games this weekend. But we know if we want to finish as high as we can, that's what we need to do, right? And so we know we're going to get their best shot, but one thing I can promise you is they're going to get our best shot as well. And if you're going to finish out the year, why not try to finish it out against the best?
And finishing out, last time in Moody, you got a few seniors on the team that is their last chance playing in Moody Coliseum. Talk about just the emotions that come with that of having a senior day and saying goodbye to those guys, or those guys saying goodbye to Moody.
Yeah, you know, we have 3 seniors. Hunter got a senior day last year. You know, you do senior day twice now, it seems like, with everybody, sometimes 3 times. But you know, those 3 guys, you know, Hunter, Leo, and Colby, all 3 have been in this program for a long time, and that's rare in this day and age. And so it's a senior day that actually means something. You know, I think that a lot of schools, you know, you look around senior day, a guy's been there 1 year, like what does that really mean, you know? To me, senior day is something special when somebody's been through a lot of battles, ups and downs with you, and all 3 of these guys have done that, you know? And so, yeah, of course, man, you know, for the chance for it to be their last opportunity to play in Moody, you know, we do have 2 of those seniors that do have 1 year left. You know, actually, I think all 3 of them do now. But you know, they've been here for a long time, and it possibly is their last time to play here in Moody Coliseum, and so it's going to mean something, and we want to give our best effort. Obviously, you know, Colby is my son, and so it's going to be a little emotional just to know it's been so much fun, like having him every day around, because you know, as he grew up, I wasn't around much, you know, because of my job and because of what I do, and so these last few years, having him with me every single day. And him being in the trenches and traveling with us and doing all that has been pretty special. And so I'm sure it's going to hit me, you know, when I see him walking out of that tunnel on Saturday. But man, we gotta lock in. Most importantly, we have a game to try to win, and that's what we're going to stay focused on.
And then across town, HSU won their conference tournament. That means they're playing in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
I know Abilene colleges. You guys have a good relationship
Yeah.
with them. So how cool is that to be able to see some of your colleagues be able to do something like that? That's special.
No, it's awesome. And, you know, Maverick Harris, who's the assistant coach over there, was on our staff last year. I text both of those guys, Coach Brackett and Mav, you know, immediately after they won that game and congratulated them, because we all support each other. You know, we're all in this together. We all want Abilene basketball to be as good as it can. And so super proud of Coach Brackett and Mav for what they were able to do over there at HSU. We're going to be rooting them on and following their scores. And I don't know what happened. I know on the women's side, I know, you know, Coach Drew Long, who used to be over here too. I believe won a league, won his conference title. Am I saying that right? Regular season. That's what I'm saying. Regular season title. You know, postseason is super important, but the regular season title is super hard to win. And I think it's pretty cool what he's done to that program over there, taking them from no wins to a regular season title is pretty special as well. So both men and women's side, man, it's pretty cool to see what's happening here in Abilene. And hopefully here in a week or so we can add to it.
couple of big wins last week at home. Kind of getting to celebrate your seniors one last time. Just talk about how good it felt to get those wins, especially when it comes to conference standings and being able to kind of rise and fall.
It's March, which is kind of crazy, and you want to be playing your best basketball rolling into March. And I think that our team is playing a really good brand of basketball right now, and last week was no exception. We have had just a different level of energy and excitement last week about playing at home. Obviously, Saturday was going to be our last game at home and celebrating our seniors, but just each day throughout the week, we just talked about how important it would be to win the day. Practice like you want to win a ball game today, and our team really bought into that. And they were probably the most serious they have been about we have to win at home. We have to win in front of our home crowd. We had a nice crowd Thursday, really good crowd Saturday to celebrate our seniors. And there was just a different mentality, I think, of preparing last week, and really paid off for us in the games.
And just talk about Saturday, back and forth game. Both of them were actually really back and forth. You guys are able to pull them out. How good is it that your team's able to kind of take those punches, withstand them, and give them right back?
Well, we had kind of tabbed last week as the Texas rivalry week to play Tarleton and UTA back-to-back. That's a huge challenge. Two really well-coached teams, great individual players for Tarleton and for UTA. And so for our team to sweep the week was a really big deal for our program. We have a lot of respect for just the quality of teams that Tarleton and UTA bring to the table, and the hard-fought battles, both games. So we're proud of our team for just being able to put those two games together and be able to win back-to-back against UTA and Tarleton. Our point guard situation continues to get better and better with Bree and Zoe. I thought Zoe played the best game of her career on Saturday. Bree was just continued to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. She fouled out like Bree Davis doesn't get in foul trouble. And Zoe Jackson, she just was there. She came to the rescue, man. She played incredible. Just did a really great job running the show. Our point guard is a quarterback. They have so much responsibility, and Zoe did a phenomenal job. And then Bella Earl was Bella Earl the whole second half. She did Bella Earl things and filled the stat sheet and, hit a big-time three late in the game and then followed up with an offensive rebound putback that was kind of the dagger for us. So proud that Zoe and Bella could finish off their careers in Moody Coliseum with what was just a phenomenal game for them. And they'll be the first to tell you that, it was just all about helping our team win a ball game. It wasn't about them having, personal best or anything like that. They were just really trying to help our team win. They knew how important that was for us to get that win. And rolling into the final week of the season, we wanted some momentum from last week to kind of propel us forward with confidence as we leave the state.
Can't forget about the walk and double-double. At this point, it's an expectation.
It's a standard. It's just the standard. Just meet the standard, Meredith. Come on.
Going ahead to this week, some really tough teams at the top of the conference standings on the road. Just kind of a little test right before the conference tournament. So kind of talk about having to play some of the best teams in the conference right before that conference tournament.
When we flip the calendar to March, it's just all about March Madness. And we're playing UVU, Grand Canyon in their gyms. Who knows? They're probably both having senior night, both nights. But we don't really even remember UVU and Grand Canyon. These games were early January. It's so crazy. Two of the first teams we played are now the last teams that we're playing. I think that our team has evolved significantly since we played UVU and Grand Canyon. We did have all 12 players suiting up against UVU. Didn't have a great performance. We had 31 turnovers against them. They're really good at a 1-3-1 half-court trap. We didn't handle it very well. And then Grand Canyon is the game that I'll never forget this season where we lost 2 starters to season-ending injuries. And all our team has done is just figured out how to get it done without those 2 players. And it's been really, really hard. Mia was a great leader for us. Peyton, obviously, leading scorer in the WAC when she went down. But our team has evolved a lot. We've seen Aaron Woodson continue, posting career highs and making big plays for us. Meredith Mays has set a standard with her double-doubles. She's been such a great force in the paint. Emma Troxel is a great three-point shooter for us, as well as a good rebounder. Bella Earl has been asked to take on a lot more responsibility, leadership role out on the court. And then Bree Davis, just got thrown into the starting quarterback position. And I think week by week, she starts figuring out more and more. And so just really proud of how they have evolved. And then, players coming in off the bench, like a Zoe Jackson, like a Natalia Chavez, and Amy Flippin, their roles are more significant now. I mean, they're thrown into the games a lot earlier than they were before we had the injuries. And, they battle every day in practice, and they're prepared and they're ready to go into game situations. So it's been so fun coaching this team this year. They really are a tight-knit group. They challenge each other every day in practice. They don't let their teammates get away with being average in practice, and I think it's paying off for us. And no one is shying away from challenges, and so I would guess this week will be no different. I mean, we're going into UVU. That was our very first conference game. First time since we've been in the WAC that we have not beaten UVU, and that was a big deal for them. They beat us by 1 in overtime, and we were not good at all in that game. And so I think going to Utah Valley, we're playing really well right now. Our team is completely different than we were back in early January, so we should have a lot of confidence when we get on our flight to head there. Grand Canyon is a whole different beast than any other team in the league. They have 11 seniors, and I'm sure it's senior night on Saturday. I'm hoping it's after the game, or this will add 30 minutes to the pregame. But just very well coached and just so much experience. You cannot replace 11 seniors' experience with anything else. Like, there's nothing we can do to match that. And so they're playing at a really high level right now. So that would be a good challenge for us on Saturday. But our main focus right now is just what do we need to do to have success in Orem against Utah Valley.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank y'all.
So last time we talked to you, you played in 2 tournaments since the last time we saw you.
Yeah.
A lot of games to cover, but let's talk about the obvious ones. Playing Oklahoma and Texas, I mean, the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country. Just talk about that experience and being able to do that at their home fields. So kind of talk about that.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, those are the games like I've talked about since day one that you look forward to. And so I think each time that we've played a high caliber team, we've gotten a little bit better. I mean, the results may not say that, but I think internally I know as a coach that we're continuing to rise to the occasion. And, you know, even the Texas game, we held them until, you know, that 5th inning and then, you know, just get one, you know, clutch hit and it's a different game. So, you know, we're getting better. And I think, you know, it's proving to our athletes that we're able to handle those type of situations and we'll just continue to rise to the occasion as it happens going forward.
And with these tournaments, it's more about experience than record for you guys. Talk about trying to. Do you have to tell your players that, hey, don't worry about the record, it's all about experience, or they're kind of bought into that?
Yeah, you know, I think it's just bought into the process. I think that's what we talk about more than anything. It's like the results will come as they may. If you can give me your full effort and, you know, your willingness to improve every single game and stay together, I think that's the biggest thing. So, yeah, it's been a tough, you know, preseason, I would say. And I think, you know, the results aren't exactly what I expected them to be. I thought, you know, we would have a few more W's. But at the end of the day, like, we're preparing for conference and we start a new season on Friday. And that's what we're preparing for going forward. And you don't win a championship in February and March, you win it in May. So we'll just get back after it. And, you know, I know there's some things that we need to focus on. And I think that's what preseason is for. It's figuring out, you know, what are the areas that are our weaknesses and then what are our strengths. And, you know, across the board, we have a lot that we need to improve on.
What are some of the things that surprised you with your team's play positively and negatively in the last 2 tournaments that you've seen?
Yeah, you know, they keep responding, I will say. Like, I think that I challenge them and they come back again. The result, again, might not look like we want it to, but they are giving their best to be bought in. And I think, you know, it's about making mistakes and then moving forward from them. It's the not making the same mistake twice. I think something that's been big for us is, like, learning that we have to stop back-to-back plays from happening. You know, once we give up a play or something, the momentum shifts. It's like, how do we shift it back to our side? And that's, you know, a big part of our game is, you know, knowing how to respond and then letting go of those moments that don't necessarily go your way. You have to fail really fast. And so I think that's what we're learning, and that's how we need to continue to grow.
And somehow conference play is already upon you guys. First conference matchup on the road, of course, at Seattle. Just talk about the nerves that come with starting conference play, especially as a first-year head coach. I mean, this is your first taste of WAC action as a head coach.
Sure. Yeah, it's exciting. I think, like I said, this has been the focus since day one. So I'm eager to get out there to see what our athletes can do. I think the biggest message that I'm going to, you know, continue to lay into them is that, you know, that this is a new season and all the stats doesn't matter. What doesn't matter what happens in the past, you know, past is prologue. So we have to move forward and, you know, continue to build and to grow. And, you know, we got to focus on winning 2 out of 3 every series. And if we can do that, we'll be successful in the WAC going forward.
And the fact that you already have kind of some WAC experience, you're familiar with some of the teams. What kind of advantage does that give you as a head coach coming in to this conference season?
Yeah, I think it's just easier. You know what to expect. I've been to, you know, every place, so we're not showing up with any surprises. I know what their fields look like. I know what our field looks like. I think, you know, our rosters are all pretty, you know, similar, I would say. I mean, obviously there's some bigger returning rosters. There's some new rosters, so you're still getting to, you know, experience that and work through that as a head coach. But just excited. I think that it's going to be a different look this year. And at the end of the day, the WAC is a winnable conference, and, you know, we're going to put our best out there to try to, you know, be successful in it.
You get a long, it's a long trip where you're going to play 6 games, and it's, you know, over the academic spring break.
Sure.
So can you talk about what this whole trip will be like?
Yeah, I think it'll be really fun in a lot of ways for them. And, that's a big part of, this experience for them is that they get to experience a lot of different things in a very short amount of time. So most of our kids have never been to, the PNW. So that's exciting for them. And then they'll get to see not only Seattle, which is obviously an iconic city, but they'll also get to go to Eugene, which is another iconic city. And, it's special for me as well. Obviously, I worked at Oregon. Lexi played for me at Oregon. So little homecoming for us, little reunion for a lot of the people that are still there that we know, and so that'll be a great time. I think some of our West Coast kids, their families are coming up to this, so it'll be a good trip. I think a lot of games in a short amount of time, and I just keep reminding our athletes like you have to rest, recover, and respond. But it's good preparation because the WAC tournament is the same way. You have to play a lot of games in a short amount of time, and there's not a lot of recovery within it. So if anything, it's preparing us for the long run.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
playing Oklahoma State on the road technically. They're now the number 25 team in the country. I don't know if you saw that. Just talk about that experience of getting to play a team of that caliber so early on in the season.
Yeah, it was a great experience for our guys. The venue was great. They took care of us over in Claiborne. It's a really good facility. It's got the minor league feel to it, so it's good for our guys to kind of get in venues like that against guys that on the other side. There's a couple of All-Americans on OSU's lineup, so I thought we competed really well. On the pitching side, we took some steps forward Wednesday. We struck them out 15 times actually. So I thought our pitching did well. Only gave up 6 hits, but 6 runs. Offensively, they threw some good arms at us, man. We had some opportunities. I thought we had a lot of really hard outs. I think we had like 7 outs that were 97 miles an hour or above. So it's one of those nights where I felt like we actually outplayed them in a lot of areas, but just didn't win. So that's baseball sometimes. So good opportunity, kind of see what that looks like. They've probably got the most physical lineup in the country when it comes to just size and stature. They've got some really strong players. So again, I think that's where we want to go, and that's where we need to try to continue to work towards. So to play those guys is a good opportunity for us.
And then over the weekend, it was an interesting one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's your first sweep of a series this year. It might have been ugly at some points, but the fact that you guys were able to get it done. Talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we try to challenge ourselves early in the year. With our travel class schedules, it's just not super conducive to playing double midweeks at times. Because you're talking about a 3-hour bus drive minimum after a flight to Seattle. So we try to play 4-game series early in the year as often as we can. To try to mitigate some of that later on in the year. So this was one of those. It's 36 innings. There's so many things in our sport that can go up and down when you play 36 innings. We had a taste of a lot of it this weekend. There was a ton of positives to take away from. Anytime you play 4 games, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for players, for young players specifically. We had a couple guys that were sick this weekend, so we had to move some guys around, which again, it's just, our sport is about opportunity. I think we had an opportunity against OSU on Wednesday night, and then you come back home and you play 4 games at home. Thankfully, we found ways to win all those, which is important. I think with so many new players trying to figure out who they are and what a winning culture is and what a comeback win is, and when you have opportunities to hammer down and take care of business when you can get some separation. So we got a good taste of all that this weekend. A lot of guys got to throw, and we'll have some opportunities to pull back from that, I'm sure, long-term throughout the spring.
And now, a very unique experience this week. You get to go to Globe Life Park. I know or Globe Life Field, I think it's called now. You did that last year. But just talk about the opportunity to be able to play in a big league ballpark, especially with so many new guys that kind of get their feet wet of, hey, this is where you want to go in your life. Yeah.
No. So we're proud partners with the Rangers, with our ACU Dallas and Rangers U partnership. I think it's unique, and it's the only one in the country that I'm aware of. So with that partnership, we get an opportunity to go play at Globe Life Park. This will be the 3rd year in a row we get to do that. We played Oklahoma our first year. Really neat experience. We walked them off in the 10th inning. We've always outdrawn the teams that we played. We played Oklahoma State last year there. So it's great to see a home crowd in DFW. A lot of purple and white in the stands. So I'm hoping we get to do the same thing. We've got Wichita State, which traditionally speaking, there's a program that's got national championships, and from a baseball perspective, they've got a really, really, really strong tradition. So Brian Green does a great job there. So this will be the first time we've ever played them, from an institution standpoint. So that'll be exciting for us. But just more so, just to play at Globe Life in front of our DFW fans is probably the unique part that our guys will pull the most from. So we'll be excited to do that, and then we get to come back home and play 3 games this weekend before we hit the road.
And talking about those 3 games, Prairie View, how good is it that you're going to be able to kind of stay in Texas this week and play some really good opponents before hitting the road?
Yeah, I think preseason, I mentioned this last week, I think it's really opportunities to get certain guys in certain spots to see how they handle it. Some guys will thrive. Some guys we may have to figure a few things out. So this next, we've got Prairie View, we've got Stephen F. Austin, and then we've got Sam Houston. So before we kind of get our conference started, so there's still a lot to learn and a lot to figure out on our end, but it's much better to do that early on at home. You know, we've got data, technology, all the resources we can kind of keep on pulling some stuff from, so we can figure out what the best version of us is going to look like long term.